Okay, welcome and thanks for joining Process Mining Academy session for Universal Requests. Today, we're going to cover a lot of stuff, but before we begin, just a quick reminder that we are here today to kind of brainstorm and understand the ideas with our community of ServiceNow process mining folks here. And if you have a question or if you're looking for guidance, this is a session for you. So this is a very kind of a informal forum for you guys to learn about ServiceNow process mining. Also, this session is being recorded and it will be posted publicly. If you guys have any question, there's a Q&A box in your screen. Make sure that you don't use the chat. Instead, go in Q&A, and that way we have your question and answer captured after the session ends. And we'll try our best to take on some live questions as well. So before I go any further, safe harbor notice, which basically means that whatever I say in this meeting, please do not use that to make any purchasing decisions because our release schedules go through iterations, products, features change. So make sure that you use all the official documents for any decision making and not what I rely on what I just say here. So we have a bigger team now. So it started with Dan Grady, and this is our outbound product team in process mining. So Dan Grady, AMS East, and most of the other areas as well. And I'm based in the UK, and I manage the EMEA region for process mining. And we have Damien joining me today for the Q&A portion, and he'll chime in wherever he thinks some information needs to be corrected or keep me honest on certain features. And we also have a rare sighting today. Our VP of Process Mining, Eduardo, has joined us here. Damien, Eduardo, do you want to say hello quickly?
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Yeah, this is a great session, so I'm tuning myself as well, so enjoy it.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today and happy to be part of this.
Thank you, guys. All right. So the agenda for today is process mining one-on-one, which is like the basics. If you've stumbled upon this session for the first time and you're wondering what is process mining, don't worry, don't just log out yet. We'll cover that piece. Then we'll go on to process mining universal requests. So this session is mainly around universal request. We'll give you a demonstration of how to do that. And then we'll go into questions if we have time, or it will be answered in the Q&A by Damien and Eduardo. And then we'll point you to the resources that you need for learning process mining. So let's get started. And this is process mining 101, which is usually covered by Dan. So we're really missing him here today. This is probably the first session of Academy without Dan. So we need to make sure he's back in his saddle next session onwards. But I'll try my best to cover for him. So the basics of process mining. So you have a design path where you probably map your process in Visio diagrams and such and say, okay, you know what, my incidents or cases must go from state new to assigned to in progress to resolve. But the reality is very chaotic. It's not how it plays out. Cases and incidents also get suspended, canceled, reopened, and all that chaos is being captured in your audit log right now. And when you run process mining in your ServiceNow instance, it basically uses that audit log to automatically create these process maps for you, where you can, from then on, use machine learning features and do all the pattern detections and root cause analysis and so on. So that's the main the product that we are talking about and its functionality. So where is all the data? Like I mentioned, it is in the audit log. And if you were to right now go in your audit log and look at it, it's like gazing at a starry night. It has maybe thousands of incidents and cases and service requests and change records. And each record is updated, say, 20 times for assignment group, 5 times for priority category. So it's a mind-boggling amount of information to sift through to understand and make sense of it all. So what process mining offers is like a pack or a plugin where when you install it, turn it on, and you can then get these out of the box free patterns from ServiceNow, which when you install in your data, it tells you that, look, you have ping pong pattern, which means your tickets are going too much between two or more assignment groups, or there's a rework pattern, your tickets are being reopened or they're put on hold for longer than 2 days. So all these bad patterns that we give you out of the box to get you started, when you run it in your own data, you'll see patterns, and like it's like looking at constellations in the sky rather than gazing at just the starry night. And it will then make sense, and you'll get ideas for improvements. You'll get evidence for your process anomalies as well. So most of us are very KPI driven in our world. Probably if you are in ITSM, you're looking for MTTR, mean time to resolve incidents, or first call resolution. Or if you're in HR, you have similar KPIs for cases. But when you are trending a KPI and it's not doing well, like it's kind of trending badly, you basically don't know why is the KPI trending badly. And that's where process mining comes in. It's not just looking at the tip of the iceberg. You scratch the surface and go deeper and say, okay, why is my resolution time trending badly? Is it because there's rework happening? Where am I wasting time? Is it because I'm putting too many tickets on hold? Are there too many handoffs between two teams and so on? So that's the main crux of this product, process mining, to help you uncover the why behind the KPIs. In a nutshell, what we offer you in ServiceNow Process Mining is a product which has very low setup time because you automatically generate the process map. There's nothing to be done manually. There's no import required. There's no swivel sharing between two systems. And at the same time, we give you like a one-click drill down into the base records. So if you look at a process map, you want to know, oh, which are the records from which it was created. It's a very quick drill down, plus other cool things like AI and machine learning natively integrated. We give you free content packs, which have these patterns to get you started. And once you become confident, you can create your own patterns from it. Other than that, it also offers you more value if you are doing it for more than one workflow, or to get things in one place, like all your KPIs, dashboards, automation requests, all stays in just one instance or one place, consolidated. You don't need much training on it. Like you can look at the resourcing will point you at the end of this session to uncover the free videos that you can look at. And it's just like a plug-in and play feature. So you can self-learn and get started with it. And we do have external data import if you wanted to go down that route of bringing external data into your ServiceNow instance and start mining it. That's possible as well. So lastly, when you do a process mining plugin installation, you're very excited in the beginning and you try to mine the data. But the idea is, can we create like a COE, which is a center of excellence, where we don't just mine just once and forget about it? Can we have like a continuous improvement cycle, like in a lean Six Sigma or waste management philosophy, where you start with detecting what's wrong with your process, and that could be done by, say, for example, ServiceNow SLA breach notifications, or performance analytics indicators, or your customer survey gives you a poor CSAT, knowledge base feedback is not so good. So these are all indicators that your process might have some anomalies in them. Then the next step is you run process mining plugin, and that's when you uncover all the bad patterns in your data and you do the root cause and cluster analysis. You just don't stop there. You go beyond and you say, okay, now how am I supposed to improve on these patterns? So you could do simple things like coaching your teams, or creating training workshops, or you could do further advanced things like automating your workflows, or maybe creating a virtual agent topic for self-service, or using coaching loops and predictive intelligence to improve your processes. And from then on, you keep monitoring your process against the baseline, that did I improve on my MTTR, or did I improve on my other KPIs before and after I made the process change? And that's like a continual loop of improvement. So that's enough for the 101 section on process mining. I hope you got some feel for what the product does and offers. If you want to deep dive more into process mining, and if this is your first session, I highly recommend going to the previous Academy session. We'll point you to the resources shortly. Now, the topic for today is how do I mine universal request? So for those of you who came to the session thinking, oh, I don't know what process mining is, hopefully you know a little bit about it now. But if you came here thinking, oh, I don't know what universal request is, then I think it's fair to cover a few slides on what universal requests are before we start talking about mining universal requests. So basically, it's like a record where it's a unified experience. So the end user could be an employee or an external customer. They open a universal request on the portal, but the request is being fulfilled behind the scenes, if you see here in the picture, by different departments like IT, HR. It could be a workplace, service delivery, legal, and so on. And then it needs to be, at the end of the day, closed and resolved in a certain time frame. So the end user is not concerned about the ticket type. Like if you ask them to open a service request or incident or a case, they just want service. So that's why a universal request comes into play. Like the end user opens a ticket, which could be a universal request. Behind the scenes, you could open a, say, incident and assign it to IT team, or you could open a case and assign it to the HR team and so on. So the behind the scene orchestration is sort of not visible to the end user because we just want to keep their experience seamless. And then the dead ends. So basically, when say an employee opens a ticket and they realize, oh, this is a service request, but we actually need an incident for it. And you need to first close the service request record, then open a new incident for it. So there's a dead end sometimes where, handoffs don't happen seamlessly, and then the tickets are not acted on time. So to avoid those deadlocks, it's good to implement universal requests. One ticket can be fulfilled by multiple teams. So that's the beauty of universal request, that you could attach multiple records to it, supporting tickets as well. And the key feature is the transfer or the handoffs between several departments. So you have handoffs within your organization. Within IT, you hand off between several assignment groups. But when you say handoff cross department from IT to HR or from IT to legal or HR to legal, then those handoffs can be very seamlessly managed by universal requests. So just a few more basics. So if you have a employee, say, opening a ticket, then either you could have a tier 1 central team where all the agents are trained to manage different types of issues, HR, IT, etc. And then they would create, say, a IT incident or HR case or a customer service case from then on. This is a centralized setup. Versus that, you could decentralize it and you can have every department have a tier 1 agent, and then they could take act on the universal request from then on. You could also use predictive intelligence based routing to route your tickets. So routing is the key of universal request. That's why I wanted to capture this concept here. And then if you look at your HR case right now, there's this transfer button on the case. And this is how you would typically transfer a universal request from the HR case. So basically from HR case, you click the transfer button and then it asks you which department you want to transfer it to. And then based on the transfer reason, it would either cancel the case or close the HR case, and would create a universal request record for you to act from then on. So this is just one example. There are several ways in which universal requests are implemented in your instance or for different scenarios, but just to give you a kind of a visual for it all to make sense for you. So that was the basics on universal requests. Now, if you want to know more about universal requests, they have their academy sessions going. You could go in and deep dive into understanding what universal requests are. For the scope of this session today, I'm just going to now switch gears and talk about mining universal requests. So before you even start mining universal requests, first you need to understand how it was configured in your instance, because every customer would have a certain way of implementing universal requests based on their requirements. So you need to make sure you're in touch with your ServiceNow platform team or your implementer team, that how was this universal request feature implemented for your organization. And then next, also be a little bit careful or aware about which fields in your instance are left out empty and not filled out. So a lot of customers, they mine universal request and then they realize that the route reason was not filled out, or the close code upon transferring was not filled out, or the assignment group field is left empty. So if there are too many empty fields and you're trying to mine the data, then it won't reap as much value. Also understand the table relationship. So if you have a universal request record and you have HR case, how does the schema work? Like, is it like a reference relationship from when HR case was transferred to be a universal request, or vice versa? So make sure that you understand how the universal request was created first and then routed, or versus universal request was when a primary ticket was transferred, at that point universal request was created. So you just need to understand the origins of how it was created. Also, why are we mining it? What's the hypothesis we're trying to test? Is it that we are saying that probably a lot of time goes between the handoffs, in between the handoffs from IT to HR, for example, and we are trying to find out if that's impacting our average resolution time? That could be a hypothesis. Now, you might have different hypotheses you're testing against. So just be clear in your head, what are you trying to find evidence for? And lastly, there might be some pitfalls when you're mining universal requests. For example, some of the collaboration between teams, like if a ticket goes from IT to HR, it would be like a genuine ticket that needs collaboration from both teams, and first call resolution is not possible on that ticket. So make sure that you differentiate between unwanted ping pongs between assignment groups versus genuine ping pongs where you do need to collaborate to get the work done. Prerequisite for universal request is that you need to make sure that the guided setup, or the way you are setting it up, is all done, and make sure that if you are implementing universal requests for the first time, or you've just started implementing, make sure that at least there's some data in there. If people are not using the universal request process and not creating data records in the system, then there's no point mining it. And lastly, make sure that the audit is turned on the universal requests table, just so you can run process mining on it. So these are the three use cases we'll cover today in the demonstration section. The first one is ping-ponging of universal requests between IT and HR department. The second one will be, we'll create a multi-dimensional map showing the HR case and the universal request on a same page and how they relate to one another, and we analyze it jointly. And lastly, we will show you universal request and SLA breach use case. So there's one more like a bonus section for this session today, which basically is the first two use cases I will execute in Washington release of ServiceNow. And the last one will be in Xanadu. So that way you get to see all the cool features of Xanadu and the difference between Washington and Xanadu. Dan covered a section, Academy session, the last few sessions, in which he had a full download of what's new in Xanadu. So please do make use of that session. But for today, we are going to just, give you some few highlights of what's in Xanadu, especially when I mine the last use case, which is about the SLA breach. All right. So in case if you're going to drop off while I do my demonstration, which will be for around 20-25 minutes, I just want to fill your ears up with this information before you go away. So if you're trying to learn anything about process mining, the best place to start is just Google Process Mining ServiceNow Academy, and you'll land on a page where you'll find about 27 videos or so where you can just self-learn about process mining. It also has use cases. So if you are wondering, oh, which use cases will be applicable for my organization, then this link on the same site will be helpful for you. And there's a Now on Now white paper, which talks about how ServiceNow implemented process mining internally and what were the insights we got from it. So very good read if you want to just take a look at it. There is a on-demand training course on process mining on the Now Learning portal. You could register for that. Community site where you can all collaborate, post your questions. We'll make sure we answer most of them. And then office hours is also something that you can attend. Bring your questions to us. Either me, Damien, Dan would be there to address those. And these are all kind of free tools available to you to enhance your learning. Please make use of it. And I think now is a good time to also shout out for the upcoming sessions. So 15th of November, Damien will be talking about CSM process mining, because sometimes there's a lot of focus on ITSM, but he's going to make sure that he shows you CSM side of process mining in November. So do make time for it if you can. And then in December, 20th of December, Dan would be covering one more topic. We're not sure what it'll be, but make sure you mark your diaries for these days. All right, so let's start rolling into demonstration. Enough of talking. So what I'm going to do now is go into a quick demonstration here of universal requests. It's not quick. It will be about 15-20 minutes. So to set up universal requests, go into your process configuration record, and there is no universal request there. So you set up a new process configuration record. And this is in Washington, by the way. And I'm just going to type universal request here and pick the table and submit. So now we have an entry for universal request in process configuration. I click on automated findings. I create a automated finding, which is like a pattern. So I'm creating a pattern, which is not intimidating. It's very quick and easy to create a pattern. Type a name, pick the name of the pattern, ping pong, for example, and then point that pattern to the field. Here is assignment group. I've pointed it to. One more pattern I'll create quickly before we move on. And that would be ping pong, or maybe the state field of universal request. And category could be whatever performance, conformance as per your org standards. Point it to the state field and update it. And that's about just the initial setup we needed. After we had that done, then come onto the workspace, create a project, and name it the way you like. So this one is universal request ping pong analysis. Then the table I'll point it to is universal request, of course. And then hit the create project button. So now step number 2 is scoping your analysis and filters. I could select filters or related condition filters. If I wanted to scope my analysis further, I could even go to task SLA table if I wanted to and say that show me only those universal requests that have breached SLA, and you could scope down to that level. But I'm not going to do that now. Just keep it simple, no filters. New activity. So I'm going to add assignment group as one of the activities and just save it. So I am on step number 2 right now of project creation, where I've just added an activity. Now I'm going to go to breakdowns, and here I have to create, say, breakdown one by one. It's not multi-select. So probably I go to primary ticket and hop on to the assignment group of the primary ticket. and click save. And then I had to come back in again to add another breakdown, which is primary ticket. And this time I could probably say route reason, transfer reason, could be one of the breakdowns. And I hit save. Okay, so we're done with activities, done with breakdowns. And the use cases have only this one approvals in it, but I don't want to turn the toggle on. I'll just keep it the way it is. Then step number 3 is adding the patterns. So we give you free patterns. I talked about it. So go to automated tab. These are the 2 patterns you just created with me a few minutes ago, and we just add it in here. And then we just click review and mind. So just a summary of what you've selected. And then we hit the mine project button. We do a full mine. And here it will show you what the system is doing behind the scenes, which is it's first analyzing the audit log, and then it will approach their training server, and then it will create the insights and models, and it'll save it. So it's the step-by-step process. And if you get stuck somewhere, it helps in troubleshooting as well. So this shouldn't take long, and I'll be patient today. Keep my ADHD in control. Okay, so step 3 in done. And then the last step. Yep, voila. So in 37 seconds, we mined about 10,000 records. We view in the workspace. And this is how it'll look. It looks neat and tidy right now. But if I just increase the connection, this is how it'll show you how your tickets are going from IT routing to HR routing. It goes back up, and the demo data is wild right now. It says 3 records took 2 years to go from HR to IT. I hope it doesn't happen in reality like that. But we've had some customers showing us a lot of fun stuff in their data. But yeah, this is how you can go ahead and create a universal request ping pong analysis. It will give you, if you have good data, it'll give you the transfer reason as well. And then you can also look at the breakdowns, which groups are engaged in this ping ponging. I don't have great demo data, unfortunately, but if you have good data set, it'll give you a lot of more insights. Click on summary and insights page. And here is where the patterns that you created just now are showing up, that there's been ping ponging between HR and IT maximum once, and then it explains to you what's the meaning of ping pong, that at least one repeats between the node. You could configure this if you wanted more repeats, but there's a heavy ping pong between the two groups. And then from here on, you create a new project, which is the second use case I talked about. HR and universal request, both on the same page. So let's see how you can do that. So just select your HR core case as the main table to be analyzed. And then hit create project. Filter conditions. If you wanted to put anything or related conditions, go ahead and do it. For me, I'm just going to leave it blank. Activities for this, the popular activities, of course, the state of a HR case. So I'm just going to go in there. Pick up state and then hit save. Breakdowns, I can add a few breakdowns here for HR case. So I have to do it one by one. So for example, I go to assignment group. HR service could be one, but I have to first save this out. And if I wanted to add more, I could. For now, I just keep one breakdown. Use cases, you need to just add a child entity, leave the use cases as is. The child entity is, of course, the universal request table. So we've already have HR as the main table. The child would be the universal request here. And this is the important part here. You need to give the relationship between the two tables. So it's a reference relationship, I know. So I'm going to put it here. And the last one, universal request reference of task table. This is important. Otherwise, your process maps may not render well. So you're interested in this relationship between the two tables, and then you can save it. So you've just kind of added the second table to the process map, HR case and universal request. And then within universal request, now you need to provide any filters if you wanted to. You need to give activity, which would be probably the state is a better activity as always to look at. And I'll save it. And then the breakdowns, of course, you can add a few breakdowns to further dissect the data. And I can hit save. Use cases, just leave it as is because we don't want to mine approvals attached to the universal request. So we leave it as is. Step number 3, improvement opportunities. This is the patterns. So we need to add the patterns from the library. This is free out of the box stuff that we give you in your content packs, or you could create new patterns if you are an advanced user. Add from the library the automated patterns, some of which we just created today. You just add it to your project. And then step number 4, which is review and mine. So this is where you just hit mine project and just give full mine. And it will go in now and mine both the tables, HR case and the universal request, and it will show you the steps while you wait. You can click on notify, but I think it was pretty good. 1 minute, 27 seconds, it mined 5,000 records. And if you open the project, this is how it'll look. It'll have your HR case on one side with all the states flowing through, and on the left side, then it has a universal request table. It shows you the relationship between the two, that when the UR was closed, what happened to the HR case. And you can from here on go deeper into each arc and find out if there is a process anomaly here or what. So those were the 2 use cases that you could surely try out in your instances. It also gives you the breakdowns here for each table. So this is for the universal request table. You can add more breakdowns for maybe the category priority of your cases. You can toggle the tables here. So now I am on the breakdown for the HR case, which is a bit more robust. You can see it has assignment groups for the HR case here. And this is how I can go deeper into both the tables at the same time and look at the relationship. On Insights and Summary page, if you scroll, you'll have all the patterns that we created and applied to a project here. It says that 46% of your data has repeats on close complete, means you're reopening your cases quite a bit, and so on. So you can then look at the patterns in both the tables, universal request and the HR case table, in just one go. So there's a lot of value of doing this, especially if you are interested in multi-hop scenarios. Now I'm just going to do the third use case, which is the SLA breach. And for that, I will now be in Xanadu. So if you go into Xanadu, go for process configuration, universal request table, and there you have 2 buttons, new and use finding builder. If you go to new, then our good old Washington page comes up and it says, oh, look, these are your patterns. Do you want to create these? Which is great actually, but some people need a bit more handholding. So they click on use finding builder, especially for new users, and look at this beautiful page that comes up, which makes you feel taken care of, like what is the meaning of ping pong? I don't understand, sorry. So it explains to you that what is ping pong. This is the, how your steps are going from one node to another repeatedly. What's the meaning of extra step? What's the meaning of rework? And then it kind of helps you create a pattern in a guided setup way rather than you knowing what to do next. So let's create a rework pattern. It's like where a step is repeated in a workflow. So I just name it as rework state. And which pattern are you detecting this on? So it nicely gives you labels there, which are a bit more human friendly. And then you can point it to the state field. You can say, okay, I'm looking at performance of my process. KPIs are very important. If you don't attach KPIs, then if you want to link a dashboard to your process mining project, it will not be possible. So it does take time to find the right KPI, but do make sure that if you are implemented performance analytics, you pick the right KPI in there. And then here it very, in a plain, simple language tells you, okay, do you want the repeat patterns of how many times once repeat of rework, or you want how many improvement opportunities, top 10 findings? So you can configure all this. It's all configurable, but in a simple language than what it was in Washington. So that's Xanadu for you. And here's our rework on state pattern that we've created. So once we've done that bit, then we can go and create a new project for the SLA breach, the last use case that we talked about. And when you create a new project, you can just type the name of the project in here. Should be Universal Request SLA Analysis. And then you can find your table, universal request, of course. Click create project. Then you have the exact same filter condition. All the pages look the same. This is nice. In activities, now you can add more than one activity for this use case. I think state is one, but this is something new in Xanadu. You can now say, I don't want to mine in progress state. I don't want to mine cancel, exclude or include whatever values you wanted to, which wasn't there in Washington. So just a shout out. It's a cool new functionality if you didn't want to mine something, and save it there. I create one more activity. I'll just add 2 activities to my project assignment group. And here I can again say, oh, I don't want to mine this Acme services or the chat group. So I want to mine only that, include, and exclude is I don't want to mine. So include and exclude is something new that you can try out. It's a very popular feature. You can save your assignment group there, but I don't see it for some reason. So I'm just going to try and create it again. And then I just saw that it was already created. For some reason, it doesn't show up on this page, but I'm good because the system said it was, yeah, here you go. Perfect. And then I go to breakdowns, and here when I click new, now I have a multi-select. So I don't have to create a breakdown one by one in Xanadu. I just go there and point it to the right fields, maybe a contact type, assignment group. I'd like to use as a breakdown, maybe priority, service offering, whatever you like. Transfer reason could be a breakdown, and save it. In just one click, you got 4 breakdowns created, and that's in Xanadu. And the last one is the use case, where now I see that I could, out of the box, just toggle that button if I wanted to add approvals there, or if I wanted to add child table as SLA, task SLA. All I need to do is toggle this button instead of understanding the relationship of a parent-child table and adding it as a child entity. I just need to toggle this button, which I did, and it added the SLA, task SLA table. Beautiful. And we've just out of the box made some assumptions for you that if you were adding task SLA, you probably want these filters in, has breached, is true, blah, blah. If you don't like it, just cancel it out and it will remove those filters. But you don't have to bother about the parent-child relationship or whatever. We've just given it to you out of the box. So you don't have to worry about adding the child task SLA table to any of your projects. Activities, we've by default added the plan end time of a SLA record. You can delete it. You can add anything else you wanted as an activity. No worries. So that's completely up to you. Then breakdowns, we've added a few for you already, thinking these are relevant, but you can delete anything you don't like as a breakdown in your instance. And of course, yeah, task SLA also has an approval table that you can attach just by a click of a button rather than doing the child entity bit. All right, so here we have both universal request and task SLA done very quickly rather than you having to do it bit by bit. After this, I think I'd go to the next step. Number 2 is done, and moving on to step number 3 then. So here, these are the patterns you add from the library normally. There are no rule-based one, but automated ones when you add from the library, you can see the ones we created, rework on state in Xanadu. It shows up there when you add it. Because we have activity and state both in this project, the message is nice, happy path, that all the patterns I selected from the library were added here to my project. Great. But I want to show you a sad path too, where customers get like, oh, I have added 15 patterns to my project. Why do only 2 show up? Is because the explanation is in this message in Xanadu that we've put in, that the activity in your project, if is assignment group and state, but the pattern is about the priority, then it will not show up. So bear that in mind. Review and mine, and then at this page, we have all the summarization, and then you just hit mine and then full mine, and it would mine the data for you for SLA breach in Xanadu. It's pretty quick, so you stick around here. So this would be our, I think, last use case, and I hope Damien's doing all right on the Q&A side of things, but I'll bring him in to take on some live questions once we've done this bit.
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions that Eduardo and I've been answering.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rocking it here. Wow, so
Thank.
yeah.
Yep. All right, so now this is our project here, task SLA, universal request, both show up beautifully, and we can increase the connections, and the chaos is like, oh, it's showing me both assignment group and the state on the same map. So because I added 2 activities on my project, remember? So, and then for task SLA, if I expand it, it just shows me the breach, when was it breached and when it was with which assignment group. So in Xanadu, what you could do is that if you wanted to just not see the state and only want to see assignment group, then you go onto that button there and just say, you know what, on task SLA, I'm fine, but on universal request table, please do not show me the state. I'm only interested in assignment group or vice versa. So, and then a job runs in the background very quickly, just so we don't impact your instant performance in any way. And then what the project's doing right now, it's layering it. So it will now remove all the state boxes from your process map, which is fairly quick now, the way it's done it. And it will only show you assignment groups. So you don't have to create multiple projects, one with state, other with assignment group. You can have it in one project, but then you can use views to only see assignment groups or only see states on your process map. So that's a very powerful feature in Xanadu views. Do go try it. And the incoming, outgoing arcs also show the arrows now, and you could even tell the system that don't show me this arrow for incoming, outgoing, and that's another feature you can toggle. Breakdown show up beautifully on the left side of the panel for both the tables, which SLA has breached priority 1, 2, 3, universal requests, which of your breakdown, which channel it's coming from. If you have good data, unfortunately, my demo data is not so strong here. We're doing our best to show you universal requests. So that was the last use case. And I think other than that, I just want to quickly show you this. In each arc, you can go do work notes analysis, another Xanadu feature. Do look at the recording from the previous session for work notes analysis. And there are other cool features added in Xanadu. One is also the variation analysis on this workbench. We have moved it to the summary and insights page because customer wanted that accessible within one click of a button. So we've heard you, and what we've done is we've moved a variation analysis on the summary and insights page as well. So that's how kind of, for those of you already on Xanadu might know some of the platform features, but others can go try it out to take advantage of these options. All right, so that's it from me. I do want to now bring in Damien, and then he can probably, top 5 questions. Damien, if you want to summarize or talk
Sure.
about, yeah.
Sure. No, thanks. Yeah, so we had a lot of great questions. So thanks everyone for sharing that. One ones that I keep getting time and time again is, hey, can we use this capability and test this in our sub-production environments? And the answer is yes, right? So installing the plugins and any associated content packs, which all live in the ServiceNow store, easy to do. The main difference between a production and a non-licensed environment is you're going to be limited to 3,600 records in a process mine project. With that said, that's a great way to test the capabilities and give you enough evidence of value within your use case, right? So whether it's HR or IT or strategic portfolio management, if you want to, I'm getting a lot of folks who are really interested in using process mining to drive velocity and the work of how ideation, demand, project, and in other areas. So there's lots of different areas you can apply this, right? And what I love about this with the customers is that they're using this to test hypothesis with their environment. So absolutely, the answer is please do test this in your environments. Not a hard lift to do. The other question I had was about licensing. We had a few actually about that. We do have a number of different consumption models for process mining, some of which are through the enterprise licensing. We do have other add-on licenses for existing. So we do have, and we're going to be adding more consumption models as well, give more flexibility based on customer input. So we will see more flexibility in the future as well. So we hear you loud and clear. We love the feedback. That is really helpful. What else? One of the questions was about audit logging. So one of the key things that process mining does need to do this effectively, and why we can do it so easily, is the fact that we have the audit logs for the tables we want to mine. So in this case, for universal request, audit logging is required, and it is on by default. If it's not enabled for a given table, that's something you do need to turn on, because that historical timestamping is needed. And we have most of the critical tables have it on by default. We usually get the question, hey, what about an application I wrote using App Engine? Can I use that for that as well? The answer is yes, as long as that table has audit logging turned on. We did get a question about using this in a PDI, and that's a very common question we get. The answer is no, that's not available. One of the key things we do need within for process mining also is we leverage the machine learning environments, which is not available in PDI. So that is something that we do leverage. So cluster analysis. We just added in the Xanadu release the ability to even analyze the work notes. And that's another great feature, and we're leveraging machine learning to do that. We'll see some additional capabilities going further to use more Gen AI capabilities in the future, but right now that's using machine learning. Looking through the list a little bit to see which ones. Just some questions. I posted some of the links to the references that Rozmin had within the session. I put them in the chat, so for everyone to have. We are making some updates to the essential class that I had the link for. One great question about who can use this. What roles do I need? There are some additional roles for process mining. You don't have to be an admin for the instance. There is a process mining admin role as well, but there's a governance model that you can apply within your organization to allow you to have granular control of the process mine projects, who can build them, who can share them, who can build a template, things of that nature. And within the Q&A section, you'll see some details around that and a link to that documentation as well. And I'm trying to see what else. I think that might be it. There's some questions about use cases. I did put a link to the use case within the Academy community as well. There's some really short, consumable 5-minute use case series, which are excellent to use. And I think that was all the big ones that I saw, the top 5, I would say. That's it. There were some questions about universal requests and being able to transfer between. So I think there were some questions around that which were answered. But in terms of how assignment groups change, right? So if you think about universal requests and being transferred to either HR or IT, and how an incident or an HR case would be created as a component of that universal request, right? And how assignment groups are assigned to that as well. But I think that's those are the big ones, I believe. There's more, please do post, and we'll happy to have them as well, or answer them as well.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. And we hope you enjoyed the session. And do remember there is a community blog and the Q&A portion in the community site as well. So post us more use cases that you want us to show you in the future Academy sessions. And we'll try our best to bring you as much collaboration here and to come up with demo sessions like this one in the future. So we look forward to hearing from you guys. And thanks so much for making time for this one. And we are now good to close unless there are any few new questions flowing into Q&A, Damien.
Yep, as Dan would say, last chance for romance. So last call for any questions.
He also says that he would try to turn into a pumpkin before the meeting session completes. I'm yet to see that one too.
We miss him too much. Next time, Eduardo, make sure he's not out on an Academy session. He'll be back in the saddle next week, hopefully.
You fill big shoes very well, Rozmin. So great
Oh,
job.
no way.
And I don't know if you guys, and probably you all can appreciate, but we show you 3 very distinct use cases in just a handful of minutes. So that's kind of the speed and time to value that we can give you with the tool, right? Some insights are going to be very hard to get if you go the manual or having to export and import data. All the information is right there. You just need to turn the table auditing capabilities, and we're going to do the magic for you.
I just saw a new another question about licensing implications. So there are licensing implications depending on the use case and how you want to consume it, right? So depending on if it's ITSM or HR, we do have different methodologies for licensing. So I recommend talking to your account team on what the best course of action there is, but there are impacts to licensing for process mining.
But if you want to try it out, you can install the plugin in your sub-production instance and give it a shot, right? So, and also starting on Xanadu, the process mining plugin will be automatically installed into your instance, which means that you can save the step of installing, downloading from the store. So we're just trying to make it more convenient for you to give it a shot. Thank you, Shishir. All right. Well, I guess this has been a great session, and we can all start enjoying our Friday.
Yeah, and Denise, I saw your question. Yes, all of these sessions that we do are posted in the Community Academy site. Great. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Roz,
Thank you,
for a
everyone.
great session.
Cheers. Good job, Ross.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.